Financial Planner. Follow us on YouTube.
With Edward Blaha. I said that right, Edward Blaha?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
So we're gonna have another conversation today. Cryptocurrency, it's hot, and we got to talk about it. And we're also going to talk about Fast Coin. Interesting. That's who he's with. His website is fastcoin.ca. And we're going to learn a little bit about that. But before we do, we're going to talk to Edward. He has 25 years of experience in the IT industry, worked for Fortune 500 companies, and he's just a resource now in the cryptocurrency space. And he's got something new to share with us all today. Edward, thanks for coming on the line with me.
Oh, thanks for having us, Kenneth. Thank you so much.
Well, Edward, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
Well, if you would, let's start off by getting your introduction and how you got interested in cryptocurrency, and what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? The gold standard of the cryptocurrency space.
Sure. So I've been in IT, like you said, 25, 30 years. So I've been in this industry for quite some time. I started out, as you had mentioned, in Fortune 500s. I cut my teeth on the trading floors. We're up here in Canada, so Toronto is kind of akin to New York in the States in the sense of being the financial hub here in Canada. And I worked for a lot of the major banks, the trading floors for the banks in the early years, second, third level support, supported traders on the floors, commodities, that type of thing. It was IT related, but basically supported all the traders out throughout the 90s. And in my travels, I've seen some wonderful things. I went through the Y2K bubble. That seems like a distant memory now, but it's close to over 17, 18 years ago. And it's interesting. We've been through the dot-com bubbles, all the way through the last 17 years, saw some interesting developments, everything going into the cloud and the space. And certainly, actually, I think I followed your brother when he was on Vision Victory during the crash of 2008.
Yes, and cousin, actually. Yeah. He's a cousin. Everybody says brother, but I rarely correct people, but it's actually cousin.
Right. So I just remembered, I thought, oh yeah, I remember seeing Daniel in his videos in 2008 and 2009 during that crisis. And long before I was heavily into IT, my investment principles were basically into precious metals. I'm I guess you can say a silver bug. I've always gravitated towards real money and tangible money. And I think with my background in the financials and seeing what was going on the world stage back in 2008, I was quite alarmed because I could see cracks, huge cracks in the system. And I didn't think that there was an immediate viable alternative in the digital age that we currently live in to flip over to. So fast forward up to about 5 years ago, I started to get heavily involved just researching and looking into alternative digital media methods of being able to transact value securely to one another. And that's what attracted me to Bitcoin. I was basically on the cusp. I was looking at it in 2011. And at that time, it was, not even worth $1. I think it peaked up to about $30. It's hard to imagine. And everybody was calling it a bubble then. And it crashed right back down to the $2-3 mark back in 2011. And I continued to watch it from a distance, but really got involved late 2012 and 2013. And basically, through the forums they have online, they have a variety of different forums. The biggest one is the BitcoinTalk.org. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of the gathering ground for all kinds of people like me, and anyone really that's interested. You can sign up; it's free. And I started to spend quite a bit of time on those forums, researching, reviewing, and basically learning about the technology, because really Bitcoin was the core. At that time, they did have a few other coins. One of them was Litecoin, that was a derivative of Bitcoin, and a number of other ones started to basically come out of development out of that forum. And one thing led to another. I was looking for, I started to buy Bitcoin at that time, and I noticed that it was very slow. I noticed, and what I mean by that was for a complete transaction to complete, it took roughly 10 minutes per confirmation, and you require 6 of those confirmations before the transaction's complete, and you'll be able to reissue that coin somewhere else. So I got involved with a group of developers on the forum, and they were brainstorming ideas on what could be done to help speed that up. So the idea of Fastcoin came up, and it was spawned. And May 31st, 2013, it was spawned. And ever since then, there's a heartbeat. It has a heartbeat, just like Bitcoin, except with Fastcoin, they were able to do it with 12-second block times and up to 4 confirmations before that coin could be resubmitted securely elsewhere. So it's a significant advancement using the Bitcoin technology, but instead of waiting 10 minutes per confirmation, we can achieve that in 12 seconds.
Okay. All right. So, obviously that's been the big debate, right? The scaling debate, and that's even caused some of the catalyst for these hard forks, and, the what might happen to scale Bitcoin. So a lot of interesting things happening on that front. So I'd like to ask you about some of the benefits, though. I mean, Bitcoin has that transaction network, the hashing power. It's immutable. It's unable. It hasn't really been able. You can't really hack it. I mean, there's such a large network out there. Is this something that people can count on when purchasing a fast coin?
We believe yes. We've been using the technology for over 4 years, but I would like to add there's more to it, and certainly you addressed one of those issues, and that was the scalability issue. So it's one thing to develop a coin; it's another thing to have the network support to support that coin and be able to scale out. So certainly Bitcoin is the granddaddy in that space, in the sense that it has the attention of a global network of miners that have dedicated their equipment to mine that coin and provide the support. So there's 2 pieces to this, in the sense that they've removed the third party, much like what you have with Visa today or the banking system, where you have a third party intermediary making sure that those transactions happen. With Bitcoin, you don't have that. What you have is you have participants that run wallets, and then you have miners in the background that are actually facilitating the transactions for you. So certainly Bitcoin has the largest volume of miners out there. Our coin at times did scale up. We did have quite a number of different miners mining our coin actively. But all these things are interrelated because it's become much more sophisticated in the last few years, where these companies that have mining equipment, they set their equipment to, some of them, not all, but they set their equipment to gauge the price action of certain coins, as an example. And as the price action increases, they then tune their equipment to start mining that coin, because there's a break-even point of when it becomes profitable to mine certain coins or another. So that's certainly a challenge that we have. But it's not something that I think is not something that, we wouldn't be able to compete against. But I mean, only time will tell, right? We don't have all the answers. And we're certainly very, very excited about the opportunities with our coin, specifically this year with the hard fork that recently occurred with Bitcoin, specifically on that issue of scaling. And I think a lot of investors that are in this space, that understand the space, specifically also on the technical side, you can see price movements also moving towards Litecoin in favor of faster, types of transactions. So, and to put things in perspective, I mean, Litecoin's a great coin as well, but their transaction speeds are about 2.5 minutes per confirmation, and and you need roughly 5 of those before you can resubmit. So that's about 10 minutes, 10 or 12.5 minutes before you can resubmit that.
Edward, so tell us a little bit about the foundation of the coin. What will be the total amount of coins out? Is this something that's mined, or are they all out there already? How does this work?
Yeah, so our coin, that's a great question. Our coin was an open, freely released coin, very different to the activity that you see in the space right now with the ICOs, which are essentially initial coin offerings. Initial coin offerings are basically concepts and companies that haven't had a proven technology, haven't had a coin out there, but they're basically trying to raise funds to justify the project before it actually launches. In our case, it was much different. What we did was we launched it. It was an open free release. The day we launched it, it was posted in the forums to let everybody know so they could immediately start to mine the coins. Obviously, as foundation members, we had our equipment highly tuned and focused in mining the coin actively from day one. But we don't own all the coins. We do have a hard cap, so it is deflationary in nature, just like Bitcoin and Litecoin. Our hard cap is 165,888,000 coins will be ever issued for the life of the coin, versus Bitcoin's 21 million. So we have a little bit higher hard cap, but it's nowhere near the numbers like you would have for Dogecoin or those types of coins that are in the billions. So we feel our number is a good number. And right now, our block reward cycle, meaning every roughly 12 seconds, a reward is issued out for the coin. A miner receives 2 fast coins versus Bitcoin right now. I think their block rewards is at 12.5 for every 10 minutes. And our block cycle is a little bit more aggressive, where Bitcoin's is roughly 4 years. Ours is roughly every 12 months.
Interesting. Okay, so and is there transaction fees the way you would see in Bitcoin, or is it at this point mainly have to do with the block reward?
Yeah, so there are transaction fees, very similar to Bitcoin in the sense that element exists. The rate in which the fees are charged are much less. That's one of the issues actually plaguing Bitcoin right now, is that the fees are quite high. So anybody who's trying to do, for the sake of an argument, we'll call it micropayments, $10 or less, you maybe end up paying, $3 or $4 for that $10 transaction on Bitcoin. So it's not worth it for some of those micro transactions. On our network right now, as it is, it's much, much smaller. And it's floating point as well. So it can be adjusted over time, depending on the volume that hits the network.
So Edward, one of the things that people criticize other altcoins about is immutability and being able to have trust for that network. And we saw that with Ethereum, where they rolled back transactions, and that's a big deal. You need to be able to make sure when you transfer your cryptocurrency to someone, or someone transfers them to you, and you give them a real hard asset, that their cryptocurrency doesn't disappear, right?
That's correct.
So, what do you have to say about that, and as it pertains to Fastcoin?
Well, we've been using it for over 4 years, and our members haven't had any major issues with it. I mean, we feel very confident in some of the transactions that we've conducted. Now, it would be a bold leap for us to say that, we're ready to start selling homes and vehicles of high value. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion right away, because we are learning, and we're learning all sorts of wonderful things in this space. Even at Bitcoin's level, there's a level of refinement that we feel just generally in the cryptocurrency space that needs to be ironed out, particularly when you're committing certain transactions and understanding that the technology itself is sitting on top of game theory. And what that is, it's floating point. Things are constantly changing. So it's one thing to say, yes, I can guarantee you 100% that this transaction will go through, provided that, at that moment in time, the network, you have enough nodes supporting it, so on and so forth. But if the infrastructure is not there, then the same as with Bitcoin, especially when it wants to scale out on the global scale. There's issues, and we feel that we've got a great team here that can potentially provide or complement cryptos in this space with some of the alternative strategies that we're working on.
Sure. All right, so Edward, let people know how they could buy it. What exchanges is it on, and how do you go about purchasing Fastcoin?
Well, there's a number of exchanges. One of them right now is Cryptopia. You can visit our website at www.fastcoin.ca, and we've got a list of the different exchanges that do hold our coin. Again, in this space, it's really funny. We always encourage our investors to, when they do buy their coins, to download them onto their own wallet, primarily because we've already been through numerous exchanges that no longer exist. There was the famous case with Mt. Gox on Bitcoin that happened in 2014, where there's situations where people felt there was hypothecation going on. I mean, I don't have all the details, but I do know that there was a bit of a scandal, if I can use the term, with what happened at Mt. Gox. And there were users that never got their coins. So we've been around for over 4+ years. In that time frame, there have been a numerous number of exchanges. One specifically that we were on was Cryptsy, that was hosted out of, I believe, Miami, Florida. And they're no longer around either. So it's certainly a challenge. It's definitely, we're still in the wild, wild west in this space. And we're constantly in communication with a multitude of other exchanges. And we're looking to partner up with other exchanges that be willing to take our coin. All
right. Well, Edward, good luck with that. That's pretty exciting, and I know you're trailblazing this new frontier. It really is the Wild West out there, and it is exciting. So I love all this technology. I love what we're seeing now, and one of the things I've said in my previous interviews is I don't even think the Jetsons could have fathomed this sort of monetary paradigm, right? This is just something completely brand new that came out within the last decade here. So so different, so new, so exciting. So great job doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Kenneth. Really appreciate it.